Hello, this is Mary Beth Hansen.
And this is Amy Matei, and we are presenting on William Kilpatrick, an assignment on Curriculum Giants for the course Curriculum and Assessment at Northwest Nazarene University. To start with, let's hear from the man himself.
The proper basis for learning is each child learns what he lives, and he learns it in the degree that he lives it, in the degree that he accepts it as his way of living. Now, the liberal arts people don't know anything about that, as a rule. They're utterly ignorant of that sort of thing. The typical liberal arts person believes that what is said in the book, if the child will repeat it often enough, he will eventually learn it. And the kind of learning that he does under those circumstances is not actual learning. It's learning what the book says, but it's not putting the learning into his own life. The child must put it into his own life by accepting it as his way of learning. Otherwise, he does not learn in the sense of building it into his character. And the liberal arts people ignore that. They don't know anything about it as a rule.
During this video, we hope that you gain a general understanding of the life and work of William Herd Kilpatrick.
Understand the historical happenings during his lifetime,
and understand how the progressive movement influenced Kilpatrick and how these practices are seen in education today.
Here is a little background information on the man who came to be known as Mr. Project Method. William Herd Kilpatrick was born in White Plains, Georgia. Born the son of a strict and rigid preacher, but nurturing mother, his teaching career was highly influenced by his mother.
In 1888, he attended Mercer University. There, he studied mathematics.
In 1892, Kilpatrick attended Johns Hopkins for 1 year. He studied mathematics and physics and saw what it was like to be in a liberal community of inquiring scholars.
For the next 3 years, he taught middle school. During this time, he attended many seminars and was influenced by progressive educators. This is where he first experimented with non-traditional teaching and administration.
In the summer of 1895, Kilpatrick returned to Johns Hopkins, then for the next 2 years taught 7th grade in Georgia public schools.
In 1897, he returned to Mercer University, where he taught math, was the vice president and then acting president of the university.
In the summer of 1898, during his time at Mercer, Kilpatrick studied under John Dewey. Initially, he wasn't that impressed with Dewey.
Kilpatrick spent the rest of his professional career as a student, lecturer, and professor and emeritus professor at the Teacher College at Columbia University. After working closely with Dewey, Kilpatrick changed his tune. He said, "Professor Dewey has made a great difference in my thinking." Likewise, Dewey wrote, "He is the best I ever had."
In 1918, he published his paper, The Project Method. This work is what he became most known for.
In 1965, after a long career in education, Kilpatrick died at the age of 93. Let's look at some of the popular beliefs in Kilpatrick's time that influenced his educational theories. Kilpatrick believed strongly in the idea of a democracy. He believed that the meaning of democracy extends beyond issues related to government, and that it is a way of life where all people can judge wisely for themselves and for the common good. We will see this again a bit later.
Kilpatrick was a big part of what is known as the progressive movement. In this school of thought, curriculum is tailored to the individual learning styles, developmental needs, and intellectual interests of the learner. Progressive educators believe that learning should come through direct experience and primary materials. They had a focus on multicultural and global perspectives, and were committed to a healthy body and community beyond school. Some other characters on the scene during his time were John Dewey and Maria Montessori. Kilpatrick studied under and with John Dewey and wrote a paper critiquing Maria Montessori's work, saying that her theory was based on psychological theory that was 50 years behind the times.
Here are some of Kilpatrick's core beliefs. He believed that the teacher is the advocate for each student. That teaching should be based on the interests of the students. That teachers need to be philosophers. And that learning is a lifelong process.
What is it that made him someone we still talk about today? Although he didn't invent the idea entirely on his own, Kilpatrick's paper broadened the idea of project learning and coined the term project method. He dreamed of students working quietly and with concentration because they designed and selected their tasks. He hoped that each task would be a wholehearted, purposeful activity. According to the project method, learning should be inquiry-based. While connecting student interests with the world around them, he believed in freedom for practice and practice with satisfaction.
Now let's look at how we can see Kilpatrick's theories in current educational practice. Remember those tenets of the progressive movement that Kilpatrick helped shape? They can also be seen in the ideals of many 21st century educators. The pendulum continued to swing, and during the second half of the 20th century, education moved towards a more traditional approach, with a focus on direct instruction. The Common Core state standards emphasis on college and career readiness have begun to swing the pendulum back. We see Kilpatrick's ideals reflected in these goals of 21st century educators.